Welcome back to another lesson on Windows PowerShell. In this tutorial, I will go over assignment operators. The assignment operators includes assign, add assign, and subtract and assign combination of those operators. Recall from the very beginning of this tutorial series, I introduced you to the assignment operator as this equal sign. I have used this equal sign to assign values to variables, for example, throughout our lecture series. For example, if I create a variable called, let's say number value, and if I use the assignment operator, and on the right hand side, let's say I said 2023, what this assignment operator is doing, it takes the variable from the left hand side and assigning a value of 2023 to the variable. So when I print this variable called number value, what that will result in is the printing of the 2023 on my terminal. So if I run this script right now, it'll print 2023. The reason for that is this number value variable now contain this variable contain the value of 2023. So the assignment operator takes something from the left hand side of the operator and assigns something to it based on what it can see on the right hand side of the assignment operator. We can also use the assignment operator to change some properties of Windows PowerShell. For example, let's open up our Windows PowerShell terminal. And let's say I want to change the title up here. So how can I do that, right? Because there are variables that already have certain items assigned to it. We can recall those variables and use the assignment operator to change that information. For example, I want to change this title. So let's call in the host.ui.raw.ui.window title, pretty much the variable associated with the host, and it has some other items in here which I will describe in a future video. And I'm gonna rename this title, which says administrator blah blah blah, to Net IT Geeks by Manuja Senanayake. So the assignment operator acts as a way to assign or change the property that already baked into Windows. This is already baked into Windows variable, and I'm changing that to whatever I want. And if I press enter, look what happened up here. It changed to Net IT Geeks by Manuja Senanayake because I used the assignment operator to assign something, in this case a string value, to a string to this particular variable host and under this particular category. So not only you can assign values and information to a variable, you can also change information on a already existing variable within your Windows PowerShell 7. I'm going to close this terminal window. I just opened this to show you that you can change information using assignment variable that already baked into Windows PowerShell. So I'm going to close that. Now, that is something that a lot of people already know because I have used assignment operator in many times during my PowerShell scripting for beginners tutorials in the past. But I also have used some additional operators associated with assignment operators, such as the add and assign operator, which you may have seen in the past I use, which is the plus and equal. So you can use this as a combo or combination entry as an operator, which we call the add assign operator, which is similar to the addition operator. However, with this equal sign, it can do with the assignment sign, we can do a little bit more with it. For example, let's create a variable called I is equal to let's say 1. I'm just assigning a value. So I'm gonna name this again. So this is gonna this is basically just assignment operator, and in here what we are trying to do, we are showing you the operator for plus equals as plus assignment variable. So I have a variable called I that is now equated to the value of 1. So if I print this I expect a return of 1 because that is the value of I. I'm going to clear the screen on the terminal down here. But with the plus equal sign, I can modify the value of the I. So I can go, for example, in here, instead of assignment operator, the equal sign, I'm going to do plus equal 10. Now, this is same as saying I, the I variable is equal to I variable plus 10. This is same as this. So instead of saying take whatever the value already contained within I and add 10 to it, I'm just going to use plus equal operator. That will give me the the same result as this. You can call it plus equal operator, or you can call it the add assign operator. In Windows PowerShell document, official documentation, it's called the add assign operator. So instead of saying I, take the value of I and add 10 to already existing value, what I'm doing here is saying, using the add assign operator, the same thing with fewer characters in the code. So if I run this, for example, I'm going to delete this part. Remember, what it's doing is taking the I and adding 10 to already existing value. So if I run this now, it will return 11. We expect 11 because it's already have 1 and we just added 10 on top of the 1 by using the add assign operator. So again, this notation is same as saying that you are taking that variable and you are equating it to the same variable, that value, plus 10. So these two are the same thing, but with this add assign operator, we can make it shorter and more neater, write neater code, especially when you are using for loops, while loops, you are using functions, when you have very complex things going on in your intermediate and advanced PowerShell scripting. The add assign operator is very useful for that kind of thing. You can use the add assign operator to also concatenate strings, just like with the add operators. You can do the add assign operator to concatenate strings. But remember, as with the addition operator, attempting to add a numeric value to an existing string is not acceptable. Attempting to add a string to a variable containing a numeric value, is not a one that allowed, but remember, right? Attempting to add a numeric value, I'm going to repeat that. Attempting to add a numeric value to an existing string is acceptable, but attempting to add a string value to a numeric is not. I'm going to show you this so it'll be easy for you to understand. So let's let's create a variable called string. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going to create a variable called string, and I'm going to assign a string for that. Obviously, let's say 1. Right now, if I do calling the string variable, and if I use plus equal, and if I go 1, and if I run these two, what that did basically, it took this string and added another string, and if I print this string right now, it printed 1 1. So it's okay. So it took a string and added another string, and it ended up giving 1 1. No error messages, nothing. So I'm going to clear the screen again. So if I can run this again, this part, it's going to result in 1 1. It took 1 here and 1 here. I can make this thing 2 if you want, so it's easy for you to see. So if I run this right now, it's going to print 1 2. So it can concatenate strings the same or similar way that it can concatenate string with the positive +1, right? Plus operator. Except now you don't need to put string equal to string plus. So like for example, this is same as saying you have a variable string equal to string plus 2. So these two are doing the same thing. So that is a valid statement. However, if you try to do this way, it will also work. So if you have a numbered value and then you are adding a string, this will still work. But because remember, recall from the my previous statements that you can have a numbered value first and add it to a string. Because of that, it's gonna come back with an error message. I meant to say no, it doesn't work, not still work. It does not work. It will end up with an error message. But if we have 2 up here instead, I'm gonna clear this screen so it's easy for you to see. So if I run this, it should give me an error message. There you go. But if I put 2 up here, if I make this thing a string, and if I put here 122, and if I run this, it should not return an error message. Instead of, it will convert the whole thing to a string and combine the 2 with the 122, because 122 now a string. So again, remember, with similar to the addition operator, attempting to add a numeric value to an existing string is acceptable, but however, attempting to add a string to a new to a numeric value is not acceptable. It will come back with a error message. So that's what I meant to say. I a little bit misspoke a couple of times. Sorry about that. So again, you can add a value to a string using the add assign operator, but you cannot add a number to a string using the add assign operator, because that will result in an error message, right? You can have a number and a string, let's put it like that, and then it'll result in an error message as such, just like that. So I'm going to clear the screen down here, and assignment operators such as the plus equal can also be used to add elements to an existing array. So just like before, you can use this operator for arrays and also even hash table as well, which I'm going to cover right now. So let's look at arrays. So for arrays, I'm going to go a little bit higher up here. Let's create an array called my array, right? So this is my array, and I'm going to equate that into, let's say, 1, 2. I can put a space in here too, it doesn't really matter. And if I print this my array, I expect that my array to print 1, 2, right? So if I print this, it should print whooped 1, 2, right? Now, with the add assign operator, you can add 3 to this by doing this, calling the my array but we're gonna go plus equal 3. Now if I print my array here, it will include 1, 2 and 3. Again, what this is doing is taking the my array equaling to my array plus adding the 3. So therefore it's going to have 1, 2, 3. So if I run here right now, the whole thing, you will have 1, 2 at the very beginning, these two. And then you have 1, 2, 3 because we have taken the 1 and 2 from my array and added another value at the end of it. So as a result of that, you're going to end up with 1, 2, 3. So the plus assign operator can add a element to an array. Now, let's say I create a array called my array 2, and I'm gonna equate that to 1, comma 2. But I have another array. Let's say I have an array called my array. Instead of 2, we're gonna have my array my array 2 here, but this time I'm gonna take that my array 2 and I'm gonna add another array pretty much. So basically I'm gonna have, instead of a 1 value just like 3, I'm gonna have 4, 3 and 4. In other words, this is actually another array that we are adding to the existing array of 1 and 2. Now, if I print this, my array 2, it should result in 1, 2, 3, 4. I expect it to print 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I clear the screen, if I run this part, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically this is an array, this is an array. So you took the originally created array and used the plus assign operator to add another array containing, in this case, 2 elements. You can have more elements if you want, like 5 here, for example. It'll print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it doesn't really matter. You can add multiple arrays together using the add assign operator. Now another thing we can do with add assign operator is work with hash table. So as always, these operators can work with multiple things such as arrays and hash tables and just values, etc, etc. So with hash table, remember hash tables have key value pair. So assignment operator plus assign can be used to modify or interact with that. So let's create a hash table called my hash table, and I'm going to say equal. Remember, hash table start with the @ symbol with curly brackets, and I'm going to have a key 1 equal to 1. And if I print this hash table, so I go my hash table, it will basically gonna print the key 1 and value 1. But if I recall that hash table, I type in hash table again, but this time I'm going to use the plus assign operator. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a second hash table on top of that. But what's happening here is basically I'm adding a key in here. So I'm going to create another hash table, and I'm going to say key 2 equal to 2. Now if I print this one, my hash table, it will have like the 2 keys associated with this hash table. So if I print right now, that it will have, there you go. So this is the original hash table, that is just the 1 key, and this is the secondary the next hash table that we have modified now, that hash table with the 2 keys 1 and 2. So the plus assign again can interact with not only arrays but also can interact with hash table as well. So this is how it operates. Now, as seen before, that when using addition operator, the operation should however fail if the keys already exist. Like for example, if I take this my hash table and let's say I do plus equal, and this time I go at, and I do key 2, equal to 2. Because key 2 already exists, when I run this, it should spit it out an error message right here. It says that already the key already has been added in the dictionary, so it can be added. I'm going to run this so it's easy for you to see. So the hash table property still works. The rules for hash table still works. When you are using the add assign operator, you can add two keys with the same key name. It will fail and it will give you an error message as such. Now we are done with the add assign operator. Let's look at the subtract assign operator. So the next one we're going to look at is the subtract assign operator. So I'm going to clear this one. So again, this is one of the assignment operators that combine with another operator, which is a subtraction operator. However, just like previously, the subtract and assign operator, which is the negative and equal, can only be used with numeric operations. Remember, recall from my previous tutorial, the negative operator or subtraction operator can only be used with numeric operators, and this principle still applies to the subtraction assignment combination operator as well. So for example, let's say I create a variable called j and equal to 20, and if I print this j, what would you expect to print? 20, right? So I'm not going to print that. It's such a simple thing. And then if I take that variable j and if I go negative equal signs, which is the subtraction assign operators, and if I put 2 in here, and if I print that j now, and when you print that j, the value for that would be 18. The reason for that is now it took this j value, which is 20, and it subtracted 2 from that. This is same as saying that j, take the j and make that j equal to j minus 2. This is same as saying that, and therefore we end up with 18. It took the original value of j, which is 20, and subtracted 2 from it. So that's what the subtract assign operator would do when you use it in such way. You expect 18 and it spit it out 18 because it took the original value of 20 and subtract 2 with then subtract equal operator or subtract assign operator. So just like before, keep in mind that the subtraction operator along with the assign operator can only work with numeric values. There are no other baked-in functions already baked into PowerShell that can be used with the subtract equal operator. So that's everything with the subtract equal operator. Next, we will look at how the multiply and assign, divide and assign, and modulus and assign operators work. Numeric assignments using the multiple and assign operators may be performed using that symbol. Not typing. Let's see that symbol, which is like a star symbol. So it says it's the shift number 8 key for US keyboards, and the equal sign. So again, it's the assignment operator, the equal sign, and in here you can work with strings and numbers. So unlike the previous one we just looked at, the subtraction assignment operator, with the multiplication assignment operator, again you can work with strings as well. So let's start with some numbers first. So let's say I create a variable called k, and I'm going to equate that to 2, and I'm going to take that k and I'm going to do multiply and assign, that's our operator, and I'm going to put 2. What that's going to do basically is going to take 2 and multiply by 2. It should result in 4. So if I run this, it should result in 4. Right here it's 4. It took this value that is already contained within the variable k, and it multiply by 2. That's what the multiplication assigned variable would do. Now with strings, so let's call it a new string, and I'm going to call it 1. You can take this string and you can use this string with a numeric value. So let's call new string with the multiply, equal, or multiply assign operator. However, what this is going to do is not just adding 2 to the end of this one strings. What it will do, it will repeat that one twice. So what I mean by that, so if I run this now, and I didn't print it, so let's print the string so we can see what it did. So if I run this now, I'm going to clear the screen. It'll print 1 1. So instead of taking this string and adding like to at the end of it, like for example, like what I'm saying is, like instead of printing like 1 2 like that, it print 1 1. So what it is doing with the multiplication and assignment operator is multiply assign operator will take the string and multiply by number of times you're asking for. For example, if I put 22 in here and if I run this, it'll have 22 times 1 1 1 1 1. Like if I print it, there you go. If you count these ones, it will have 22 ones. Oops, sorry. It'll have 22 ones. That because of the multiply assign operator will take the string and multiply 20, whatever the value, the numeric value in here on the right hand side of that operator, and then it will repeat the string that many times based on whatever it sees on the right hand side. So that's what it can do when it start with a string. Now what happens if you start with a, let's say value with a numeric value. So the value on the right hand side of the operator in here is a numeric value. So what happens if you start with a numeric value here? So let's try that. So if I have 5 and if I clear, it's same as what we have done already here, right? Way up here, right here, k, because started the numeric, it's the same as this. So this is valid as, doing this. But if you put a string here saying 1, and if you put another string up here, for example, so if you have all string, if I run this, that will result in an error message because it can take 2 strings into this particular assignment operator. The same applies if you have a numeric value up here and you have a string after on the right hand side of your multiply assign operator, it will also result in an error message. So the only time this would work if you start, when you work with strings and numbers combinations or strings, for example, if you start with a string and then you end up with a number, right? That will basically multiply whatever you have on this string that many number of times. For example, if I run this, it'll multiply by that many times. If you want a space in here, you can put a space at the front or the back of this string. It's just going to create a space in between, and if you run it, now you have space between the 50 tests I have here. But you can have a assign value of a string, and then you can have a number after multiply assign operator. You can also have the number and a number. That's fine. But you can have a string and a string, like you can have 2 strings. You cannot also have a number and a string because those will result in error messages like this. So that's how the assignment, the multiply equal operator works with in terms of error messages. I'm going to clear this terminal down here. And the next thing I want to talk about is that how we can use the multiply and assign operator with arrays, right? Because all of these operators can be used with arrays. So if we look at our operator, so I'm going to create an array first. So let's say repeat var, and I'm going to call it 1 2. So we have an array called repeat var 1 2. If I call that repeat var array, and if I put the multiply assign operator, and if I say 2, and if I print that, what's gonna happen here is takes that array and it's gonna repeat it. That's why I call it repeat var. So it's it's a meaningful array name. So you have array 1 2. Instead of adding another 2 in here, what it did is it take the 1 2 array and make that 1 2 array 1 2 1 2. So now this array has 1 2 1 2. So 1 comma 2 comma 1 comma 2 comma. So 2. So it has 1 2 1 2. So what it did, it repeated whatever the original array, whatever the times that you are asking for. Again, like I said, this could be a big number, a small number. Like for example, if you want 10 times repeated, it's gonna have 10 times repeated that 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. So that is what the multiply assign can do with the array. So it take the value, take whatever the array from the left hand side, and then multiply whatever the values contained within that variable, whatever the array contained within that. Now, the value on the right hand side of this multiply equal sign has to be a numeric value in order for this to work. What I mean by that is, let's say I create another one called the new. I'm going to just call it new. Wow, whatever. It doesn't really matter. New variable or whatever. So if I make this thing 1. Again, I want to emphasize this because this is an important point. And if I put new again, and if I equal this to 2, and then put a multiply here, this shouldn't work because that's not a valid call, right? Oh, yeah, it's gonna end up with an error message. Sorry. No, this is actually no. Sorry. This is not gonna end up with error message. This is gonna end up with 1 1. Right? Like it's just basically gonna repeat this 1 twice in here, right? But if you put in here let's say array 1 2 3 array, and then it's put a 2 in a something like that. So this is a string. That's what I want to show you. What it did, it took this 1 2 1 1 3 3, so 1 3 3, and it repeated 1 3 3. So if I put 4 in here, it'll still work. Here you go, because it start with a numeric value, right? But if we have in here like this, and then if you have this, if I print this, did it work? Well, let's see. 1 3 3 1 1 3 3 2 1 3 3 4 1 3 3. So 1 2 3 4. It worked. So with the multiply assign operator with the 4 on the right hand side, or value with a string and a value, it works fine. So it is not going to be a problem. So that's what I just want to point out. It's a little bit confusing. You can rewatch what I just said a few minutes ago, so it'll make sense to you. So now I'm going to clear this terminal again. We are done with the arrays. The next thing I want to talk about is when you're working with this particular operator, you can use this with hash tables. So I just want to make a comment on that. The reason why I'm not covering hash table, because we did that on the previous ones that I covered, is because you can't use multiply equal with hash tables. So that's why we are skipping that part. Next thing I will cover is the divide equal operator. So it's basically divide and assignment operator. So divide is this slash sign, and the assign is the equal sign. So this is what I'm going to cover next. So I'm just going to put few hash values right here. It's just basically a comment right here. So how the assign and divide or divide assign operator works is basically, it's very simple. You can have a var, that's my variable, and I'm going to assign the value number 2. Now if I recall that value or reuse that value, the variable, and if I put the divide assign 2, what I expect to return from this is simply 1. What it is doing is it takes this value and divide by the whatever the value that the divide assign operator has on the right hand side of that operator. So if I run this right now, I expect a value of 1 right here. So 1. It's a very simple operator. It can only be used with numbers. It's only valid in numerical operations. It is not be able to use with strings. It won't be able to use with arrays or hash tables or anything else. It can only be used with numbered values. So only numerical operation can be performed with the divide divide equal operator. So if I run this again, for example, it will give me 15 because half of 30 is 15. So you can divide by odd values as well, like something like that as well. So it will return whatever the value, right? So it is only can perform numerical operations. So that is what we call the add divide assigned operator, right? So that's what it is. So the next thing I'm going to cover is the remainder related operator with the assignment operator, which is going to be the remainder assign operator. So how the remainder assign operator works similar to the remainder operator, such that if I go revar, if I show you the example, so equal to, and what I can do with revar, I can say, hey, take that value, whatever you see here, and I want it to be remainder after you dividing by 3, for example. Let's take 10. So, and then if I clear the screen here, what it's going to do, it's going to take whatever containing within this variable, and then it's going to take the remainder after dividing by 3 is what it's going to do. Oh, I didn't print the variable, so let's print the variable so we can get what's contained within them. So if I print it, what that's going to do, 1, because if you divide 10 by 3, there are 3 times 3 equal to 9 and 1 remaining, and the remainder spit it out. So if I go like something like that, it should give, if there is a remainder, yeah, there you go, 1. So like that's what it's going to do. So it's whatever the remainder of this value on the original variable gonna get printed right here, 3. For that's 7 in 10 and the remainder is 3, so it's gonna print 3 right there. So that's what the remainder assigned operator does, and it cannot be used in anything else. It can only be used with the numeric values. Again, this is same as saying revar equal to the revar, take the revar again, the revar same variable, and take the remainder after 7. This statement is same as this statement, as such that it basically takes the value from the original variable and divide by 7 and take the remainder and print the remainder as 3. So that's everything for today. So I have covered the assignment operators associated with multiple combinations, such as the add assign. I also covered the remainder assign, for example, or the division assigned or subtraction assigned. And if you have any questions or concerns regarding any of the items that we have covered today, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. If you like these type of tutorials, please make sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe to my channel. If you haven't watched my previous tutorials, please go ahead and watch my Windows PowerShell lecture series for beginners. And until next time, thank you so much and have a nice day.